Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gents, and thank you so much for watching. Well, as I'm sure you all guessed, we are back on this old 90 model Sportster. The goal is to get on this transmission. I know I mentioned in prior videos we were going to work on it then, but I promise this time we're going to start out with that. We need to get that sucker fixed and hopefully back in this bike where it belongs. After that, we got to finish buttoning up the engine. If you watched the last video on the engine, you know where we left off. Had to order some push rod covers of all things. So once those show up, we can finish that engine up. The goal here, let's get this engine sealed back up and hopefully get this crankcase at least temporarily closed up. Then we can start removing what's left to remove off the bike and maybe even do a little degreasing on it outside with the water hose. Don't know, we'll just have to see where we get. But first, let's jump on this transmission. So if you saw some of the earlier videos, I kind of briefly mentioned on what's going on with this transmission, or at least what I think is going on with it. So let me try to recap it and explain what we're going to do. So driving the bike down the road, couple of problems were going on. This transmission's got not one, but two fun problems. First of all, let's just go through the gears here. Neutral was fine. Going into first gear was fine. First gear itself was fine. Shifting into second was nice and solid, but when you get into second gear, it sounds like a tin can bouncing down the road. And you just, let's be honest, you don't want that. Third gear was fine, and going into fourth gear, it kind of sort of halfway went into fourth. It kind of went into a false neutral, and it's almost like you hit a wall in here in the shift mechanism part. So none of that's good, so naturally we pulled the gear set out, and here we are. So when we pulled our gear set out, we actually found a few different things. Well, the first thing we found is there is some surface rust on some of these gears, as well as a lot of gunk. We'll clean that up really good as best we can. Somebody's clearly had this out before, which is kind of frustrating, but I think it's going to be okay. We'll clean it up the best we can. But right here, this is the main shaft, and this is the main shaft second gear. And if you look, and remember it was second gear that was giving us problems, I can rotate this right there. We have a broken tooth right in there, and that is not supposed to happen. So that's got to be the cause of our noise, so we're naturally going to replace the gear. And also, when we pulled the gear set out, I didn't see the tooth or anything like that down in the case, but when I set it up here on the workbench, this tooth, here it is right here, actually fell out. I think it was actually lodged down in here somewhere between the gear set and the shift mechanism. So the theory, and I actually ran this by a guy at a local shop that's really, really good at what he does, a lot better than I am at this stuff. The theory is that this tooth was lodged somewhere down in there, keeping this sucker from going all the way into fourth gear. Now, I don't know that for sure, but what I can do when I put this gear set back in is I can kind of manually shift it by hand before I put the primary on to see if that fixed it. Before I took this out, I was not able to get it in fourth gear. So at least that'll be a way for us to kind of, test on it before we get it all back together. If you've watched the channel enough, you'll know by now everything I do is budget or cheap, if you want to call it that. So if you're looking for, kind of a full-on, high-end transmission rebuild where we go in, replace a bunch of parts, spend a bunch of money, give it the white glove treatment, I'm not going to be doing that. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be replacing this gear and see if we can do it as easy as possible. So what I did, went to the eBays, found us a gear, Lyle's Garage. Thank you, Lyle. And thank you for sending in the lactic acid treatment box. Just kidding, Lyle. Perfectly fine, as long as I get the gear, right? And what we got is a factory OEM Harley-Davidson gear. And it actually seems to be in much better shape than all the other gears on this bike. $25. That's right. I think with shipping it was like 30 bucks. So if we can get this sucker back on here and back in the bike and everything working for 30 bucks, that is an absolute win in my mind. So let's get started on that and see if we can get it all done. Well, I was just studying the shop manual for once, and this might actually be, we might be in good luck. This might actually be really, really easy. I probably shouldn't say that. Because remember, all we're trying to do is get to this gear right down here. So we'll pull this main shaft assembly out first. I know this will come out as one piece. Just like that. Put that off to the side. And here's our gear right here. And I mean, it can't be that easy. I guess it is. There she is. It took, what, 15 seconds to get all that removed. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean everything up as best as possible. And then when we get back with you guys, we're going to get the new gear on, get the main shaft assembly back in, and see if we can't get this sucker back in the bike. Well, I suppose if you're going to break a gear, this is one to break, just for the ease of install. Don't mind being a little lucky every now and then. Well, it shouldn't be shocking that our main shaft seal here is actually bad. Actually, looks like somebody just ripped all the rubber that was in there out of it and left the metal cage part. But getting this out is a lot easier with the transmission out, and we can get the new one in after we install the transmission. I've already got it. I did cheat. I've already got it removed a little bit. Get it out the rest of the way. Oh, there it is. Popped right out. Yeah, you can tell. I don't know what somebody did. I guess they just kind of, I guess they pulled the transmission. We know the transmission's been out. I guess they just removed the transmission, and when they did, they just took some pliers or something and just pulled everything out of it. It's kind of crazy. Well, let's see if we can get this transmission in. I've actually got a piece of cord here holding the shift shaft or whatever. Yeah, don't say that too quick, right? Because it's got to line up with the shift mechanism on the transmission. Let's see if we can get it here. These things are awkward and they're heavy. And so I might need some help. And if I do, I'm not afraid to ask, because I do not want to mess this up at all. Oh boy. Come on now. Well, we're close. Well, we're actually through on the other side, so that's good. Take 2 of probably many. If I can figure out what my major malfunction is. I think I figured it out, but okay, somehow this shaft, the shifter shaft, is not cooperating. That's my problem. It is. I wonder if I could install that with it on the transmission somehow. Back out. Oh, crappy. Woo. There. What am I hung up on? I think we're about there. We got shifter shaft is working. I hope. All right, let's see. We're going to get these just snug for now. We can do a little testing on this, make sure it works. Might have to pull it back out. If so, we'll get it back in. We got our transmission in. She's kind of lightly bolted in for now. We want to check on all the gears. Now it is flush. Everything's in there like it's supposed to be. Put our shift arm on there. Also got our sprocket on the right side just to help with the drive. Be able to turn that. I think we're in first. Let's validate that. There's neutral. That's neutral because the right side is not turning. There is first. There's second. There's third. And there is fourth. Just like we need. Let's see. We'll go back down. There's third, second, and first. I think we're in good shape. Well, good news. We got our push rod covers in that we ordered on eBay. Actually, good timing. We get this rocker box finally on this engine. We can get this sucker sealed up. The nice thing about these that I ordered is it was only 25 bucks for 4 of them. Used, of course. And they're in actually That O-ring is not on there all the way. They are actually in better shape, in my opinion, than the ones that came off the bike, which isn't really surprising. It's still not bad for $25. Don't be afraid to check out eBay. They made these bikes for a long time. There's a lot of parts out there, even though they stopped making these in '90. Well, they stopped putting these on Sportsters in 1990. Of course, don't forget to get your lifters to the bottom. That should do it right there. Well, randomly speaking, I'll try to get this rocker box on. There's about a 2.735% chance in my brain that we still have a problem with that transmission. I said randomly speaking. The reason is it was just so easy. It just seemed a little too easy. But we'll find out when we test on it. I guess that's the case with some things, unless you've done that about 8,000 times in your life. You just kind of try to fix it, test it. If it don't work, fix it again. I'm just making excuses already. That's all I'm doing. Well, that was not a good idea. I don't know why I put that bolt all the way down in there. Of course, when you put these push rods in there, don't forget your assembly lube on the end of those. And getting these in here can be tricky at times. If you remove your rocker arms all the way, it makes this a lot easier, but usually you can get them to drop in just like that. And then, of course, we got to make sure our gasket's lined up. All at the same time. I'm not going to go through all the exact torque sequence and everything for these. It is in the wonderful shop manual. Well, if I could even get this one started. But when you're getting these fasteners in there, chase the threads, clean them up, however you want to do it. You just want them to kind of go in nice and smooth. You don't want anything to bind up. If it starts to bind up, just remove it. Try to figure out what's going on. If you do that and follow the manual, this is a relatively simple and easy process. I am pretty sure this was the rocker box that when I removed the top cover and the centerpiece, whatever you call that centerpiece, there was actually a washer just sitting down in here next to the valve spring. So, that's neat. Glad that didn't get down in there. Got a couple of things on this bike that could have been pretty disastrous. Oh, when you put these gaskets on, don't forget your center gasket. It's easy to forget. Well, after you spend about 7 or 8 hours aligning this center and top piece of the rocker box, it can be annoying. Maybe I'm just complaining. Only thing left to do is just torque down these little cap screws. Now, there is a torque spec for these, and it is very, very small. And I know this may tweak some people, but this is all I use right here. The reason is these rocker boxes can crack very, very easily. You'll get a leak, of course. And also, if you're running the paper gaskets, paper-ish type gaskets underneath these bolts, I've seen those crack as well. So all I do is I take this, I do about a quarter turn at a time in a crisscross pattern, and I do that until it's nice and snug. Well, let's keep stripping her down. It sounds kind of bad, doesn't it? I guess you can just close your ears if you don't like it. Now this tag mount right here, I'm not exactly, somebody put these screws on this, it's crazy. Not exactly against this, because I do like, as you've probably noticed watching the channel, side mount tags, but I just don't want to do another one right now. So if I could find something that'll mount up here, because this thing is an absolute piece of garbage. This is the definition of a novelty, even by my Amazon special standards. This thing's in bad shape. This little bracket, it's pretty pathetic. It's like some of the cheapest hardware you've ever seen. I don't know. What do you guys think? Side mount tag or figure something else out? Because I do not want to cut this fender. And the reason I don't want to cut it, I can get this out of here. This thing is junk. The reason I don't want to cut it is because I want to use the seat that was on it, that Harley Davidson seat that was with it. So I could trim the fender back more, but then I'd have to go buy another seat. But I got these holes right here, so I guess I could trim right up to the edge. I don't know how that would look with the seat, but I'm not really worried about looks on this bike as much because it's just so freaking cheap and I don't want to put any money into it. But I don't know. I guess I'll figure it out. So our fender here, like a lot of fenders like this, have 3 mount points. You got one right here, and then you got the 2 on the sides. And this one, I mean, I shouldn't be shocked. I really shouldn't be shocked. I don't even know why I'm pointing it out. But this one has a tiny Phillips head screw holding it on. And wow, is that really? Yeah, the nut, it's just got one nut, no lock washer, and the nut's just there on the bottom. It's not even tightened, so just removed it. So that would have been interesting going down the road. And if you ever had this, let's see if it'll rotate down. Yeah, if you ever had this drop down on you when you're going down the road, I can imagine the noise it would make with the tire hitting the bottom side of this fender. See if this is loose. Not too loose, but loose enough. Back on the subject of side mount tags, I can promise you after this bike, we will not be even considering doing that based on the bike that's right over here behind me, just a little sneak peek. I don't think I'll be doing anything like that on that bike. I'm actually looking forward to that one. That's going to be pretty neat. It's got some interesting things going on with it, I'll put it that way. A little bit different than what we're kind of accustomed to on this channel, which I think's cool. Try different things, right? Oh, I got pieces falling, washers falling. What is that? Oh, I gotta take the bolt out, dummy. There it is. So the fender itself is not, boy, there's a lot of stuff. Look at that. Got all kinds of stuff cut up in there. I wonder if I could flip this fender around. No. I don't know why somebody drilled those holes right there in the fender. But you can tell this is a factory one based on the little clips that are in here for wiring. So we'll figure something out with it. Now I'll be rather shocked if this battery tray has been out. I don't know. That was loose, but it didn't feel too bad. Who knows? Maybe this whole bike's been apart. Oh, still some oil. Oh boy, we're hung on something else. What are we hung on? Always, oh, there's another bolt down here. There is. And look, it's loose. What a shocker. Actually, it's just kind of hanging on. Add battery to the list of things that would go tumbling down the road. And if you remember, we had the wrong battery in it too. I guess these guys right here were forward control mounts. At least that's my assumption based on this mount right here. But this almost looks like a highway peg mount. But we're going to remove all that. We're going to keep the mid controls. These would probably work, I'm guessing, on a 91 to 03 Sportster. Should be. I think the mounts are the same. But what I think I'm going to do, because I'm going to have to remove quite a bit on the mounts to get these pulled off. I think I'm just going to temporarily put our front and top motor mounts on just to kind of help, keep it stable while we're removing this. It should be fine. You still got the mounts on the back, but I just don't want anything to shift or break. So I think I'll toss those on real quick. Boy, this thing's greasy. There is so much gunk back here. Might have to pull the oil filter, but I can just put it right back on just to keep it sealed up until we actually put the final filter on it. Oh wait, no, this will work. There we go. It was made for that. And I think this one goes all the way through, doesn't it? No, it doesn't either. Okay, good. Oh, it did go all the way through. All right. Well, there we go. That should do it. Oh, that's fine. Break the wrench. Where does this go to? Oh, it's a voltage regulator. This is actually an aftermarket, made in the USA. That's rare to see these days. That's actually aftermarket, but ran outside. We'll have to reroute that. Sorry, ADD getting the best of me here. Oh yeah, that's just gonna spin on off. Beautiful. Big win for everything being loose. So better remove this stuff. Oh, there it goes. Just, let it fall. Who cares? And the nice thing, I can get to my oil lines a lot better, which is good. Because you do not want to pull this cam cover unless you absolutely have to. But all right, progress. Not sure why I haven't removed anything up here yet, since it has been in my way the whole time. I should have known these were loose. This was actually twisting on me when I was trying to ride this thing. Because it doesn't run an idle cable, just a throttle cable. Sure, there'll be some thoughts on that. Okay, so this sleeve, it's pretty cool. This sleeve just has one mount just for your throttle cable. And it actually has the spring in here for this little guy down here to lock the throttle. So I think that'll work. Oh, wrong way. Wrong way. Oh, these have nuts on the bottom of them. Did they run nuts on the bottom of these back in 1990? I would like to know that. This is kind of different. This is going right back on, so we're going to rerun all this. I guess it keeps you from having to worry about having bad threads. And there we go, and our bars are removed. Oh, and these have bolts through and through here. Little different than what I'm used to. Okay, that works. I've seen a lot of aftermarkets like that. I wonder if these are aftermarket, but the way they look pretty used to me. I have seen risers, like I said, like this before, but didn't know if they were factory. Boy, these have seen better days. Good night. This bike desperately needs a degreaser bath, so we're just going to pop this cover on temporarily so we can roll her out and hose her down. If I could get it started. Now, I should have done this, honestly, before I tore into the motor or this case. Like I said, if I could even get it started. Just because that would have made more sense, but this will work. We'll be all right. There it goes. Now, you might be wondering, why didn't I just get the primary back in for good and get it sealed up? That's a great question, but we've got to get that new clutch basket shell. That has to be replaced, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. But I think we'll be all right. As a plus, though, we were able to reuse the gasket that was on this before just to help keep water out. It was actually in one piece, which is pretty remarkable. We got some new main shaft seal here, since the other one was basically not even on there. This is a good time to do this if you've got this out. Not a bad idea to replace these. They're pretty cheap. And it should only take just a few love taps. Not much. Drive these in. All right, I think we're good. Now we are going to go crazy with the degreaser. Luckily, I got more than one can. It was supposed to be raining all day today, and we actually got a break in the action. You got to take advantage of that. Well, I was able to dodge all the rain, and we got the bike sprayed off. It's kind of funny, you're dodging rain when you're literally spraying the bike off, but you know what I mean. I think it helped out pretty good. It really helped the engine. It's a good starting point on the engine. Now, if you've watched the channel before, first of all, thank you. But if you've watched it and you've seen other projects, you know that we get into some manual labor on these things. There's going to be a lot of manual labor on all the engine, all this back here, which is actually cleaned up pretty good, which is nice. And then, of course, over here where it's all nice and greasy down in the bottom. So we got a little ways to go, but this is definitely a start. But we are going to be wrapping this video up here. This one might actually turn out to be kind of a short video. I don't know. I guess I'll find out when I go to edit it. But I think it's a good stopping point because from here, we are going to start getting into the fun cleanup part. And we might actually start putting some new parts on the bike. We're going to be cleaning back to front, front to back, whatever you want to call it, trying to get all the gunk that we can off of it and all the junk that we can just to kind of bring it around. Then I got to get on some oil lines to replace, which are a lot of fun on these bikes, but we'll get to them. I'm not too concerned about that. And then from there, you know, we got things coming up like working on these fork sliders. We're going to polish them up, clean them up, do some cool stuff on those. Let's see, we got to get to wiring. Wiring is going to be pretty simple, but I still got a few question marks on it that I got to figure out if I want to do some things or not. And then from there, you know, we got wheels, carburetor, etc. So lots of stuff to come on this bike. Well, like I said, guys, we're going to be wrapping this one up right here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We've made some pretty good progress on this bike, but we got a lot of cool things coming up on this project in the future. So if you want to catch those videos, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. As always, I thank you guys so much for watching. We'll chat with you next time.